How are you, Chris? Are you hearing me alright? Just done off the cuff. Alright, Northern Rambler. Off the cuff. Boring. Very tired. Sunday afternoon. And I sat in the house. I don't usually sit in the house and do nothing on such a sunny afternoon, which it is here. It's very nice here all day, actually. But I didn't do much, so I watched Andy's live stream for a while, and I watched a bit of Radio Cruncher for a while, and then I thought I'd go out into the shed and do a little bit myself. So here I am, right? And I just thought, you know what? Last night was a bit of a disaster. Both videos were. Not only that, but I don't know what happened, but I managed to delete both videos afterwards, right? So they're gone into the ether. The Dynatron, Chris, is the way it has been for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I've got one more video that I've done. The Dynatron was actually done a while ago, but we didn't finish it, and we didn't put the videos up at the time either. But the Dynatron is going. It's going quite well, actually. It has a decent enough colour picture on it, but the reason why it does is because it has the line time based panel and the decoder panel out of the other Dynatron in it. But it's alright. We got it going to an extent anyway. With its own panels, but its line time based panel has developed several faults. The Dynatron was one of them that, you know, ordinarily would have been left in the skip, but a very nice television. Do me a favour, lads. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching. I want to see how that goes, you know. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. How are you, Nick? So here's the thing, right? Last night, as I say, was a disaster for several reasons. I don't think people are overly interested in Static Saturday, which is fair enough, right? So we mightn't bother doing that again. But, and then the chat afterwards, we did another video, and that wasn't great either. But I think off the cuff, it seems to be better. I don't know why. Good man, Nick. So that's the crack anyway. Chris Day is working on a 22. Oh, very interesting. I haven't looked up there. I haven't looked at the website for latest news in a while. Is there latest news on it? I will go add a channel because add a page. I usually look up the old 405 line, Rob, just to see how they're getting on, and there hasn't been an update since Christmas last year. Looking up their site now. Thursday, still Thursday the 30th of December. Go back to the chat. We had an email from Martin who runs the BHT. Alright, so I suppose frequencies are still IP, as they say. But I'll tell you what you might do, Chris. If you do know what frequencies they're going to be using, would you mind giving me an email and dropping them to me? I know frequencies were up in the air. But I'd like to know, because I'd like to try and make some sort of preparation here with some suitable area. I'd like to have a go at this evening. Now, obviously, I'm outside the intended service area, but I was thinking a cubic quad area, and if I went up somewhere very, very, very high, we might stand a chance, especially if the old sun was playing ball. I don't know. As I say, a lazy Sunday afternoon. I'm very tired. Had a busy week in work, and when I was coming home from work, then I was chainsaw and firewood and stuff. Yesterday was a long day, actually. I was in work yesterday, so I got up at 5:30 yesterday, and then obviously I was on here till 11 o'clock last night, so I'm kind of tired today. So the lazy day, I watched a bit of Radio Puncher, and I watched a bit of Handy, and then I was sitting in the gaff there, and there was nothing on the telly. There was nothing of any interest or not on YouTube, and I said, feck it, I'll go out to the shed and have an hour spin around on the radio. And then I said, I'll go live for half an hour. See if anyone pops in, and of course people are popping in. When they're popping in, they're popping out. So we had 13 at one stage and 9 now at the minute. But that doesn't matter. If there's a few people listening, we're good. Obviously it upsets people as well when I just come out here and go live, because it's like, well, you didn't give me any notice. Well, to those people, I'd say you're not missing that anyway. I just said I'd hit the live button on the camera. And it's sort of a laziness thing as well, because it's easier to come out and just press live on the camera than it is to sit here and make a concerted effort of making a video about something too, because it takes a bit of effort, believe it or not. It's not as easy as it looks. And I take the most minimalist approach to making videos that one can do on YouTube. As in, I try to do all my videos in one take. I don't edit my videos. Well, rarely anyway, unless I really have to. But I try to do everything in one take, and that takes a bit of going, But it's a laziness thing, maybe. I haven't got the time to be, sitting there for 4 hours editing a video together and putting all that nice captions and star wipes and screen wipes and all that kind of stuff into it. But I think, for what I do, I think I do all right. I know some people, it's not for everyone, and that's fair enough too, but I think we're doing okay. Chris D says he doesn't know the frequencies, but happy to send emails I've had so far. If you want, message your email, happy to send over. I don't want to stick the email address in the chat, but what I'll say to you is, Chris, if you go to the About page on the channel, there's an email address there. I'll say it to you. It's ojnoj@gmail.com. Alright. So, I'll be interested as soon as you find out what the frequencies are, even if they're not made public. You needn't worry. I'm not gonna spit them out here on the channel. I do know that the frequencies were a bit of a sticky issue. They didn't want people knowing. I had heard that already, but I will be just that I can start coming up with a contingency plan here for what we're gonna do. Sets for receiving wise, of course, we have the Bush TV 161s or A640s, whichever, which are fairly high gain. But I also have a set here, which is a Philips 1756U, and it's a very high gain set. Now it weighs a ton, even the cabinet. Wonderful television, missing a couple of knobs for it, so I'm going to stick out the appeal out for those at some stage. I have tried on the UKV Triple R at times over the years, but no joy. My own fault. We had the knobs and they got displaced in the house move, unfortunately. I'm kicking myself over because other than that, it's an excellent television. Now, I have two knobs from the far side, which I might be able to make up molds or get someone to make up molds who's good at that kind of shit. And we might be able to come up with a solution there, but we'll see. Anyway, that could be a contender as well. And have a van, so I could go up the mountain with various power supply options and that. I'll stick up a very large aerial and point it towards London. I'll just say, nothing to be lost anyway. You never know. Ofcom hasn't finalised, so we won't know. I'm going to try TV66, as that's got lots again. Yeah, the TV66, all those. Bush made very good, very simple televisions. I like Bush a lot. I'm not so keen on Pye, and even less keen on Philips. But Bush was the simple, everyday man's television. Who else have we got in the chat here? Grid Runners here. Cool. I can watch this nonsense while I make the tea. Fair enough. What was she watching in the gaff? Oh, Come Dine With Me. You could always watch Come Dine With Me. Not for me though. Small doses. Who else have we got in the chat here? Mrs. Ojnoj is in the chat. Maybe Sunday, just a better day than Saturday for lives. It could very well be, alright, Mrs. Ojnoj. It could very well be. Because I think more people are around and they're taking it easy. Most people work Monday to Friday. So that could be the case. So maybe Sunday evenings could be the thing. We'll look into it. Going to Galborn. That's the plan. We need to get working on it. Myself and Mrs. Ojnoj needs to sit down in the very near future and come up with a TOA on Galborn. But it would certainly be my best intention to go to Galborn. By the way, we call it Goblin here, alright? It's not Galborn, it's Goblin. Our best intention would be to go to the Goblin. A lot of people are out on Saturday nights. Yeah, I know, people have lives and shit. Also, lots of YouTubers doing lives on Saturday night. Yeah. Now, as I said to our friend in Cork, I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing on YouTube. If they're live and all and people want to watch them, that's alright. You can watch me, you can watch them. You're not going to offend me by not watching me. I'm just a little fella in the shed. Will not fall out over it. But, yes. Maybe a Sunday evening would be better. I still have all these radios on the bench. I was actually doing a little bit of tuning around. But the computer and the monitor do cause significant amounts of interference too, which doesn't help. However, it's a bit of crack. The old 740 is a lovely old set. And I must get the other 740 out of the shed and compare them. Or the container, it's wrapped up in this plastic and it's been that way for a long time. It was in the old house that I lived in, and we used to be tuned to a station called Radio Gold, not to be confused with Gold from the UK. This was a Dutch station. I think it was on 740 kilohertz. They switched off a couple of years ago, but they were 24/7, either 1960s rock music or 1960s traditional Dutch music. So what they would do is they would have one 1960s song from, say, the Rolling Stones or the Beatles or whatever, the Boards or what have you. And then the next song will be a traditional Dutch band. And then the next song will be another. And they went backwards and forwards each song that way. And it was great listening. I'm sure Mrs. Ojnoj remembers listening to that in the house. It was good. And the old 740 sitting in the corner of the bedroom with the nice glow coming off its dial. They were halcyon days. Do I dabble in the CB, or did I? No, I never dabbled in CB, to be honest. I have a couple of CB rigs here of different flavours, which I have made the contact with. But no, I never got involved with TV really. There's a small TV movement in Ireland. Be nothing like what's in the UK or whatever with the likes of Fred in the Shed and all that kind of jazz. But there are a few boys. There's a bit of a movement around Dublin and that, and I know there's a few boys up around Belfast. Sometimes I hear them here, but I haven't got an area lot of them. I have actually thought about sticking up a half-wave whip off the roof of the shed here. The roof of the shed's stale corrugated shit, which I think will make a great ground playing for it. So it's something I am actually churning over in the brain at the minute. I might just do that, and have a go for the crack. But there is a few people on TV still around here, but not quite where I am, And I'm not lying aside to Dublin either where I am, so I'm a bit away, and there's a few hills and shit between us and Dublin, But it's something I want to have a go. I need to get back up on 2 meters as well. I had a co-linear, a Diamond X300 co-linear, and the fecker snapped in half there a while ago, so I can't use that anymore. So I need to come up with some sort of solution. I think I'll just buy one. I think I'll just buy something. I was going to make one of those flower pot areas, but I don't know how good they are. I might have a go at it, a bit of conduit. I have a bit of conduit here. But I think really I'll just go for something the easy option again, Get back up on 2 meters. I have a Yaesu. What is it? R480, I think. Is that what they call it? Sitting here around the corner. It is an FT 480R. That's what it is. CB was big in the Ireland audio, all it was, but it's not so big now. We do have a few heavy hitters here still, though. The likes of George Donaldson down that loan and that. And of course, Ray is doing the repairs and all that stuff. They're great men with great patience for working on all that kind of stuff. A lot of the diehard CBers moved to amateur radio when the 3-tier license came in. Yeah, they did. But I think they were treated badly too, because people now straight away from your call sign where you are on the thing and they can figure it out. The old boys weren't too happy about that at all. Grid Runner says CB might be in for a bit of a retro revival. I'd like to think so. Of course, the likes of CB and then 2 meters, especially with the repeater network. I mean, when mobile phones became available at an accessible price, I mean, that does affect that overnight, didn't it? I mean, 2 meters used to be just chock-a-block. I can remember listening to 2 meters as a kid, and it was just non-stop. But going 2 meters there now, you won't hear much. It'd be good to see CB make a comeback. Now the truck lads are still using it. And a few of the boys that do the drawing the silage and that kind of shit, combine harvesting and all that, they're using a bit of, you'd hear them now this time of year, drawing in bales and stuff, that'd be on the blower. They use it for, where's one tractor to the other, and there's around in the farmyard when I come in and all that kind of shit. Watched our video the other day. Remember Atlantic 252 transmitted from that site, which is now RTA. Really powerful transmitter back in the day. Yeah, it sure was. Yeah, I made a trip down there. You obviously you seen the video where I was up on the hill. Where was I? It was on the hill of Tara, wasn't I? I think. Yeah, and you could see it off in the distance. Well, I made another trip down to the transmitter there a couple of weeks ago. We were out for a Sunday drive and it says, Shaggin, I'm going to go down to Summerhill, this Clarkstown place, and have a look at it. So I did, but you can't get in anywhere near the mast. I went all around the site, and I've got They've got a serious fence structure all around it. Heavy hedges and all, you can't even see in. Obviously, they're concerned. They buried hundreds of tons of copper in the ground all around it. Like there's a ground plane. And needless to say, they don't want someone going and digging it up and buying it in for scrap. So that's why there's such a serious fence all around the site. Which is a bit of a shame. But I'm going to go down anyway. We'll make a video. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to make a frame area tuned to long wave, right? So it's going to have a good few tones on it. And I'm going to bring it down, and we're going to tune it to 252 and see if it can drive a loudspeaker. Now, of course, they're not running the kind of power that Atlantic 252 is running. In fact, they have the wick turned right down. I can't remember what the official figures are, RTE quote, but I have a feeling that they're only doing maybe 50 kilowatt in the day and 10 at night. And it could even be less than that. Because when Algeria was on 252, I'm only 20 miles as the crow flies from it. And Algeria used to bleed in across it. Now, if they were running 500 kilowatt, that wouldn't happen. Not from where I am. You could probably drive a light bulb. Yeah, probably could, yeah. Which brings me to another interesting story, but I'll come back to it in a minute. Because I have to go into the house for a second, because I've run out here. I'm on the cake today, lads.
Dévoiler un peu, j'ai la tintigne autotolnie.
I'll leave you with that bit of music while I'm gone.
Alaakuu sanaa kanarraa Daani'eel Damseef Aadde Ayyaanaa maatii Daani'eliif Ermiyaas Daani'eliif faarfannaa tokko naaf filaa jettee jirti. Giituun Gambeellaa irraa obbo Tasfaayee Kumasaaf Aadde Dambalee Baqqaleef obboloota isaaf dhaggeeffatootaaf faarfannaa tokko naaf filaa jedhee jira.
Badhaanii bunoo hojii lixaa bulee horaarraa naga'oo bunootiif Aadde Shumii Gammadaaf obbo Bunoo Bushaayeef eeggizuu bunoof faarfannaa tokko naaf filaa jedheera. Shibbiruu Bantii Qellem Wallaggaa Sichaa'oo irraa maatii isaaf amantootaaf hiriyoota isaa hundaaf dhaggeeffatootaaf faarfannaa tokko naaf filaa jedheera.
Admaasuu Israa'el Qellem Wallaggaa Ganda Kiiloo irraa Solomoon Biraanuu Tasfaa Biraanuuf qopheessitootaaf faarfannaa tokko naaf filaa jedhee jira. Mulaatu Waayilee Bahaa Wallaggaa Aanaa Buutoo Giddaa irraa Taammiruu Waagaaf Callumaa Buusaaf Tolchiisaa Garbii dhaggeeffatootaaf faarfannaa tokko naaf filaa jedhee
I hope you're enjoying the pleasant music, lads. Who have we got here? Let me have a look here, alright. FT8 will be the death of ham radio. I'm inclined to agree, Nick. I'm definitely inclined to agree. Absolutely. Raise up that camera a bit. Better. Oh shit, in here. You could probably drive it right up. Yeah, I'd have a go at it, alright. David Rhodes is in the chat. What's the BHD? The BHD is the British Heritage Television. They're going to try and get 405 television back on the air. Maybe I'll do a video of that down the road when they get them. Or I might even do a video talking about them and send a link to their website. Well, interesting stuff. Hey Ojnoj, why do you take a commercial break there? You are paying the copyright on that foreign channel you are playing. I don't think that's copyright. I'd be very surprised at that. I find that the foreign music doesn't seem to have done that before on YouTube. But you never know. Maybe. I won't be paying the copyright. What they do is they just take a percentage of the ad revenue that comes on the channel. But what I can do is, after this goes live, I can cut that segment with this song out of the video, right? So there'll be a little gap, but it'll be gone, and that does away with that. I think it's a load of bollocks, to be honest, because I don't think anyone's going to listen to this video to bootleg that song for themselves to play on their 8-track player in their car. Okay, give us a thumbs up, lads. There's 19 people watching, but there's only 13 thumbs up. Thank you. 2 people got extremely offended. I asked them to give me a thumbs up and left the chat.
Miércoles, qué ganas. Por fin empieza la mejor competición de...
Over the bar. Dennis is in the chat. Hello, Dennis. Is 252 still going? I remember having a mini metro with the... Yeah, it is, but it's RTE now. RTE are on 252 now. 252 ceased transmitting. RTE took over the site. But don't forget that in between Atlantic 252 going and RTE taking it up, there was also another station broadcast on it for a couple of months called... what the fuck was it called? It was called Talk Power Sport Talk Radio or some shit like that. And it was just a 24/7 sport radio station. Didn't last very long either. And then RTE took it on after that because they closed down the Tullamore 567 medium wave site. Nick Kenwood says digital voice using proprietary codecs will kill it first. Yeah, look, it's going to get to the stage where, you know, the radios will be doing the QSLs themselves and you'll be just sitting there watching the radio going, well, Roundy, what's the crack? I was bored here, come out and says, yeah, they were pumping about 750 kilowatt. They weren't supposed to, but they were. I'm actually going to be talking to someone who was heavily involved in that end of it soon enough, which is going to be interesting. So I'm going to get a few juicy details about Atlantic 242. And I'm looking forward to it. One of the things that, you know, people watching the channel don't realise is that this gives you... The YouTube channel gives you access to people that you would never normally have any interaction with. So one of the things I'd say to you, my viewers here, is there's a lot of people that watch this channel that never comment. Probably aren't subscribed because they don't do that kind of thing, whatever, that's fair enough. But they send me emails, and there's a couple of, I don't know, to put a nice term, I'd say oddbally types who have gotten in touch over the years, and it's been quite interesting indeed. And it's given me access to information and stuff that I would not have normally gotten had I not been on YouTube. So while the YouTube thing will never make me a millionaire, it has made the hobby very interesting indeed at times. So yeah, no, it's good. So it's good to have you, Mr. Bourne, in the chat. John Green is here. Hi, I'm with and then that's it. Team Talk. Team Talk. That was what the radio station was called. Team Talk. I can remember because I was a kid at the time and I liked old radios even back then. But all transistory radios, you know. Well, you couldn't get valve radios because, I don't know, they were obviously just all hidden away in people's sheds or whatever. And any that came up for sale were stupid money because people had it in their head for a while back then that the valve radios were like, ooh, serious. Radios like this, and I can remember listening to Atlantic 252 on radios like this. And then Atlantic 252 vanished and Team Talk come on. I remember being very upset about it. I can remember being 10 years old in The Hague in Holland in 1997, listening to Atlantic 252, and it was as powerful there as it was here. It was fucking roaring then, right? Much louder than Radio 4. And of course, it was the only thing that was in English that you could listen to. Those were the days. No, I miss Atlantic 252. I've been listening to snippets of Atlantic 252 on YouTube recently. You know, the jingles and all, and it just brings you right back, you know, the powerful station. By any chance, is it the tech that looked after the transmitter? Quite possibly, but I'm not going to say any more because I'd call that IP, right? You know. But yeah, no, your man knows. Your man. This chap will know a bit about the transmitter. I wouldn't be bandying names around on the YouTube, of course. I'm sure you'd agree with that. I'm watching until it gets too wet outside for my phone. Sitting in a hot tub on holiday and loving it. Fair enough, Dennis. Sounds good. Dennis, have you been watching long? I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. So, welcome aboard. I'll meet you at the... Christy says, I'll meet you at Clarkstown Transmitter and bring a shovel. And we can go halves on the copper. Shh. It's €6 a kilo at the minute. It's good shit. It's good shit. Yeah. Grid Runner says YouTube is a remarkable thing. The quality of content and expertise and passion people always have amazes me. Far better than terrestrial television. Yeah, well, once they went digital, that was the end of me in terrestrial television. You know, the old Colour King Ariel was king, and when they did away with him, that was the end of me. You don't have to. I think you know. You probably know him anyway, Ray. You're tied up with all these people, Ray. Anyway, Ray, you're what we call a networker. You're a networker, right? Ray was one of these lunatics who used to climb up 100-foot masts on the top of pubs in Dublin to try and get a grainy BBC Two picture from Wales. And them fellas had real balls. I knew one or two of them used to come into the shop and buy shit off John, and they were head cases. They like the gargle. You need a drink. They were like the Fred Didness of the TV aerial fitting world, you know. Fuck the void do it. The only time I ever went up to do an aerial on a proper apex roof. The other one, flat roofs or bungalows, alright, doesn't bother me too much, you can walk up the tiles. But I can remember doing one in a house, and it was in a council estate, and the house is in bits, but the chimney breast was on the gable end, and the amplifier was gone. So I was like, go up there and do that, you know. So I went up with the roof ladder up. standing on the top of the chimney breast with the amplifier like this over the head, with the cable. And I felt the whole lot rock. And it wasn't just a pole, the chimney breast and all, where the whole chimney breast had broken away. The pointing was obviously bollocks on it or whatever. And I remember this sort of got back down. And John says, "Did you fix the amplifier?" I says, "No. I'm never going up on one of them again." And that was the end of me with fitting air heels. Fuck that. Because you could still get it on after the FM area broke off. Team Talk 252. Shit, yeah. We have chatted a couple of times. Okay, maybe we have, yeah. That sounds. Oh no. Turned off my monitor. Out the switch. This is something I always do. See this bloody switch here, right? So if I'm on the chair and the horse is swinging around with abandon, I bang the bloody thing off, you know, which isn't great. Big Clive is the YouTube tech equivalent to Jack Hargreaves on Southern TV and TVS. Yeah. Yep, I used to till some clown on my last job forgot the rope and cut the stay wire behind me. 150 foot up in the air. Mrs. Ojnoj, this isn't rounding yet. I have a bottle open, Ojnoj on, and the water is hot and bubbly. Well, that sounds interesting to say the least. Good man. Yeah, Ray, I wouldn't fancy going up 150 foot up in the air on a power. No, fuck that. There's no money you pay you for that. So we've got 17 likes by 21 viewers. If you've just joined, please hit the thumbs up button. It's very important. And if you haven't, please do subscribe. It's helping me greatly. Because what it's doing is, when you subscribe, it tells YouTube that people like Ojnoj Irish Vintage TV and Radio. And it opens it up. It starts sending out these impressions, they call it. Which is, an impression is how many times YouTube shows my channel to other people that are interested in this kind of stuff. Because they don't just spit it out there. It's only if it's popular you get impressions. So I have noticed with more people subscribing lately that the impression numbers are up, which is great. And of course, we want as many people as we can to get involved, because it's turning into a good little community here with the whole thing, as I'm sure you all agree. Audio, there was a great day out in Ranelagh. There was a great guy in Ranelagh who used to fix TVs, James Morris. I used to do aerials as well. Never came across him. Now, Ranelagh, of course, wouldn't be near me, or near where I was at the time either. There was loads of these quirky outfits around the place, and most of them are gone now, which is an awful shame. And you know, the TV repairman has gone the way of the Cooper and the Wainwright, and there's a whole thing there that's going to be lost. Because you can say, TV repair, that's just a branch of electronics. But it's not. It was a whole thing in itself. And it was separate. And there was a whole social aspect to it. And the more people we lose who are involved with it as time goes on, you know, there's not a part of a social fabric that's going to be lost. There was also John May and Sammy Prendergast. You see, Audio Al knows all these people. Grid Runner Shack. What was everyone's heaviest boat anchor receiver? I think the heaviest thing I ever had was an RA-17. I always regret letting it go, but these things take up loads of space. They do. Yeah, there was an RA-17 and all the gear to go with it. You know, the SSB thing and I don't know. There was an aerial tuning unit and a whole load of shit that went with it. Sold at an auction in Dublin there a while ago for about 400 quid. I was tempted, but it got a bit out of hand. I wouldn't pay that much. But I believe the RA-17 is a special receiver, alright. Heaviest boat anchor I have would probably be the Eddystone 358X inside there, including all the coils to go with the bastard. The AR-88 would be a bit of a beast too. Yeah, I lifted one of them up for a fellow one day and I sort of regretted doing it. Absolutely. No, they are the heavy machine. I'd be unlucky if I got a copyright strike on that, wouldn't I? You'd like to think so, anyway. Anyone follow Michael Dranfield's channel? I certainly do, anyway. Michael Dranfield is a gentleman. He follows me and I follow him. Yeah, and of course, he's up to date with the modern TV repair. That one lately that he did in the last couple of months where he found that the little surface mount electrolytics in the Samsung sets going short circuit. I mean, that was excellent. Excellent stuff, you know. Now, whether the TV trade would actually pay you to get involved in that level of repair is another thing. If you were relying on making a living out of that kind of shit. But it's great that people are still doing stuff like that. Yeah, no, Michael Dranfield is very good. And he's doing more stuff on YouTube lately, which is great. He's getting real into it, you know, which is good. He's certainly worth watching. I'd be in touch with him from time to time. Very decent fella too, so he is. And of course, anyone who was in the TV trade will remember Michael Dranfield from writing in television back in the day. He was a prolific fault finder. Your problem solved and all that. Grid Runner says he reckons repair will make a comeback at the end of the era. Disposable stuff is coming to an end. If disposable stuff is coming to an end, the price of stuff is going to go through the roof. That's what I will say about that. They may make stuff repairable again, but it won't be cheap.
When I was pregnant with you, it was cigarette smoke got me. I once had to heave up in a bin in the street.
Soft spot forward, be the green lamp.
and white-fronted goose for the specific reason that that's the bird that's the logo.
There's an awful lot of shit on RTE radio.
Because the vast majority of the
I think the sustainability issue then is will force it. Things will get more expensive again. Yeah, no. It's all fine and well saying make stuff repairable, but you have to remember the reason why stuff has become so cheap over the years, why a washing machine is a day's wages instead of 3 weeks' wages, is because when a washing machine was 3 weeks' wages, it was made out of 316 gauge steel. There was a warehouse somewhere full of spare parts, which was kept stocked for probably 20 years, and they had to pay people to look after all this stuff. They had to pay draftsmen to draw up circuit diagrams and service information, delivery men to deliver this stuff to repair shops, and the list goes on and on. And whereas now what you've got is a case where you get your washing machine, you run it for 3 or 4 years, it breaks down, you fuck it out, right? Now, are people going to want to pay? What's a washing machine now? Let's say a shit one is probably 200 quid, maybe let's say 300 quid, right? Are people going to want to pay 1,500 quid for the shit washing machine and then pay a dickhead like me to come into their house and repair it for them as well? And what am I going to need to get to actually make it worth my while, to make a livelihood out of going into their house to repair it? Well, I'm going to need 150 quid into my hand before I do anything, really. Because let's take, for example, say I'm a self-employed white goods repairman. I have a van. I have, a shed somewhere with the stuff locked up. I have to pay rates, insurance. I have to pay tax for my van, CVRT, DOE for the van. I have to pay for fuel. I have to pay for insurance. I have to have public liability insurance. All right. I have to pay an accountant to do all that shit at the end of the year. Right. So I need to get, and let's say you're a half an hour away from me, right? So I'm going to be at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, at your house, diagnosing what's wrong with your washing. Well, I'm going to be away from base for at least 2 hours, so say it takes half an hour to get to you, all the bits are floating around. I'm going to pull your washing machine out, I'm going to take the back off, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it, and then I have to drive home, and at the end of that, you might tell me, I don't want to get it fixed. All right? So there within lies the problems with all this and why so many people have gone away from it. Because it's easier to go get a job as a taxi man or a bus driver or a road sweeper than it is to be self-employed and doing shit like that. Not trying to be negative, but realities of the situation. B4L Funny Times has joined the chat. Ahoy! He's obviously a sailor, Welcome to the chat, B4L. Greater owner, the ARA could serve as an air raid shelter too. Yeah, you could probably hop into one. That depends on what brand of shit one on that. Yeah, but a lot of shit, really. Northern Rambler. Alright, Northern Rambler. David Hill says the Shangu 066 channel led him here. It led you astray, so. Well, welcome aboard, Dave. It's good to have you. The Greta's and all, though, will probably start to change for charge for wee removal and that. Yeah, quite likely too. If you've just joined the chat, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps me and the YouTube thing. And it's all going towards a good cause. Beer doesn't buy itself, That email from a viewer has been received and is greatly received. Thank you. We will reply to you in due course. Oh, you're getting heavy showers over there, so Dennis. Yeah, no, it's been a lovely day here all day. Sun has been shining. A very relaxing Sunday afternoon. I'm usually always on the go with one thing or another, but I'm kind of a bit. You know, when you wake up some days and you go, I'm a bit burned out, and that's the way I felt today. So I didn't do much. I went a little earlier on and I bought a load of sanding discs and stuff. This might sound a bit odd, but I'll spit it out there anyway. And I bet very few of you will know what I'm talking about. I'm currently in the process of polishing two rocker covers of a Leyland 680 engine to a high mirror shine. For no particular reason other than I can. Alright, which is a bit of an odd one. But I'd be surprised if anyone knew what any of that meant. But needless to say, rough cast aluminium being polished to a high mirror shine is not easier said than done. Yellow weather warning in Ireland, but weather seems fine. Got lucky. Yeah, so far, although I'm just looking out the window here behind the camera, and it seems to be just, I don't know, it's gone from sunny to a sort of a subdued colour. So we might be in for a few showers. But it doesn't bother me in here. Some rare bus John Joe content. Some rare John Joe bus content. Well, yeah, absolutely, Kyle, yeah. Obviously, Kyle knows that a 680 goes into a bus, but I could have been talking about, a Leyland Beaver or something as well. So, you'll never know. Could be a Beaver. Thunderstorm later, I think. Yeah, I believe there's lightning warnings out. Not hearing many lightning crashes on the radio now, funny enough. As we know, a couple of weeks ago here, the AM radio was completely unusable. By the way, if you just joined the chat, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. No mad crashes. The lightning crashes here a couple of weeks ago were unbelievable. Everyone at Electric Picnic got drowned. Yeah, they did. I was reading an article earlier on, and for those that don't know, Electric Picnic is like what would it be like? Well, it's an outdoor music festival, like Glastonbury. And they camped there for a few days and that. But last night there was torrential downpours, the likes of which have never been seen before. And of course, the dry weather over the last couple of weeks, the ground was hard, so the water couldn't soak away. So they all got flooded out. So a lot of them abandoned their tents and shit and went home. What could you do in that situation? Well, I don't know. Get stoned out of your mind and forget about it. B4L, are you picking up much lightning on the aerial radio? No, there's not much lightning here at the minute. It's quite enough. As I said a couple of weeks ago, the lightning crashes just made the radio unusable. It was unbelievable the amount of lightning activity around Europe and Ireland and the UK a couple of weeks ago. It was about 2-3 weeks ago. It just made AM unusable. Incredible.
We saw a lot of injuries, but towards the end of last season, pretty much had all the players.
I have to say, of all the receivers, so we've got 4 fairly decent receivers here on the bench, right? Eddie Stone 740, the Frog 7000, which is a bit awkward to use, but it's a good receiver. The Kenwood R600. But the EC10 probably has the best tonal response out of a lot of them. Although it drifts like a tug in the North Sea in a storm. But it's a good machine. It sounds well. It's strange, isn't it? So how's the Coyle fella getting on over in the Holland? If you're still in Holland, are you? I know you said in one of the chats that you were working over there. These little high, you're doing good over there. Good, glad to hear it. As I said before, my mother lives in Amsterdam, so she's over there. I'm due a visit over to her soon enough, I think. Haven't been over there since before the pandemic nonsense. So I'm dying to get back. I find Amsterdam a very interesting place. I don't think you were actually in Amsterdam. I think you were outside Amsterdam. Yesterday, just sold my record player. Then found another better one in the recycling bins. Yeah, well, that's fairly good. I'll go with that. Of course, I'm going to take it. Like most people in Holland, you probably haven't got a lot of domestic space. So you probably can't afford to collect large amounts of shit like the rest of us. Which is a bit sad. That's one thing that would put me off Holland. These small pokey apartments and stuff. If you have a house in Holland, you're doing really well for yourself. A house in a garden, like you're made. And that's like two down semi-detached or something. But it's a fabulous place. The only thing is in the winter and the cold, especially in Amsterdam with all the canals and the wind, the cold just sticks to you. And then you got this heavy mist that rolls in off the North Sea, drowns you to the bone. Other than that, it's a lovely place. B for that, how far would you say you would pick up lightning? Could it reach France? Yeah, no. So if there was heavy lightning conditions, say over France or Germany, we probably would hear it here on the radio. Probably not much further away though. There's a live lightning map you can look up, and so what you do is you can watch that and listen to the radio, and you get an idea of how far away the lightning is from you and if you can hear it or not. It's quite good. It's quite good indeed. Northern Rambler says, Kyle says, it's not that bad. We've got a 3-bed house. Oh, you're doing all right, so. But it was bought in the 80s. Okay. Oh, so you're over in Holland for a good while, so I take it. I know you said you were English originally, but living in Holland. I had it in my head. Of course, you build up these pictures about people. I had it in my head that you were just walking over there, sort of on a temporary basis or something. I know there's an awful lot of large corporations in Amsterdam and Holland, around Rotterdam as well. You think that like London and all are the only places that have any sort of large infrastructure, but you fly into Holland and you see all these big skyscrapers and shit. So there's lots going on over there. There's a big crowd there called ASML, actually, in Holland, that do, and of course they don't call it Holland anymore. They did a vote a couple of years ago and they decided to call it the Netherlands, but I don't know, for some reason I will always call it Holland, as I was born there and it was Holland at the time. ASML do, they make stuff, they make machines for making microchips. And they're based in Holland, and they are the world leader in microchip manufacturing, the lithography section, I believe. I was reading an article about all this a while ago. It's interesting stuff. Kyle moved there about 5 years ago, but it's the other half's house. Don't feel like going back to England with the way it is over there. Next year, you're going to uni as a mature student. Oh, well, good man. The very best of luck with that. Not an easy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do at all. So I wish you all the best with that. What is your field of study? Shout out to Mrs. Ojnoj for supporting her hobby and letting you share it with us. It's not always the case. Absolutely. No, I am very, very lucky to have such a supportive wife. And she is wonderful. And you've no idea how wonderful she is and supportive with all this, because she comes in here and she's hands-on with the stuff that I do. And not only in this interest as well, but in other things that I'm interested in, which I don't share with the channel. Other hobbies and stuff. So, no, she's wonderful. And I'll try to let her know that as often as I can. Well, probably not enough. I should say not enough. Electronics, good man, good man, good man. Any particular field of electronics you're studying? I don't want to get too nosy, you don't have to say, of course, but it's interesting. Right, this glass is empty again. If you just joined the chat, please hit the thumbs up button. I've got 24 likes and 16 viewers, right? So I want to see how many more viewers to likes ratio I can get. If I can get like 100 likes and 10 viewers, that'd be just wonderful. Well, I'm mostly interested in radio stuff. Alright, so you're doing something in RF design or something, I would take it, but yeah, we'll say no more. Right? I'll let you listen to that while I'm out filling this up.
Bayan wannan ya tafi wannan ya samu wurin da aka tara kaga zai zama wani maudu'i ko wani muhimmin abu wa manoma da ɗan sauran ruwan da zai saura zuwa lokacin da za a shiga rani kaga zai yi amfani saboda haka ina ganin gwamnatocin a irin wannan lokaci ya kamata su tashi an gina irin waɗannan aksan wurare daban-daban zai yi matukan rage matsalan wannan ambaliyar ruwa idan Allah ya kawo mana kaga masa wurin da za su ci su taru wannan kenan kana da yadda ni bangaren wasi a irin tsare-tsare na ginin da sauran mu'amala da muke mu a matsayin mu na zamantakewar bil adama musamman a wurare waɗanda suka girma akwai matsaloli wanda za ka ga wasu gidajen kan mutane suna gini ne babu tsari na irin hanyar ruwa in ya zo zai wuce wani gidan ba ka za ka ganshi a sakin hanyar ruwa ne za a je a gina to kaga irin waɗannan abubuwa da mu bil adama muke suna da matukar haɗari idan Allah ya zubo da ruwa mai yawa daga sama shi yake kawo wasu dalilan da yake sa akan samu irin waɗannan ambaliyar ruwa kana sai hanyoyin wurin wucewar ruwan da ake drainage kenan da turanci har gobe a cikin wasu garuruwan musamman arewa maso gabas da sauran sassan kasar nan wasu jama'a sun mayar da waɗannan hanyoyin wucewar ruwan wurin zubar da shara kaga hanyar na an yi shi saboda ruwa ne in ya zo mai yawa ga hanyar da zai wuce ta har ya tafi inda aka kai shi to an kawo shara an zo ana tarawa kafin ka an kara shara wani abu ne da kullum bil adama sai ya cire yau da gobe bai bar komai ba sai ka ga hanyar da ruwa zai wuce babu kaga shi ma wannan wani al'amari ne wanda yake kawo kalubale ma shi wannan aukuwar ambaliyar ruwa da muke fama da shi to duk irin waɗannan abubuwa ya kamata gwamnatocinmu na Najeriya da sauran kasashen da muke makautaka su mai da hankalin su sa ido su tabbatar da kayan aiki.
To mun gode Dr. Abubakar Suleiman Jarman Galambi. Kacallu lawan gabciya kana jina?
Ina ji sosai.
A jamhuriyar Nijar kamar yadda aka nuna wato akwai maganar cewa hukumar ku ta kula da hasashen yanayi ta yi amfani da jirgin sama wajen harba wasu abubuwa domin a samu ruwan sama a wasu sassa duk da yake mun ga ambaliyar ruwa a wasu sassa to me ke faruwa ne na game da matakan da kuke ɗauka a wannan ƙasa?
Wato assalamu alaikum na gode da wata tambaya na ta bane lalle mu da kanmu ne muke a sace
talking radio from somewhere in Africa. A drink to Mrs. Ojnoj. Yeah, I read that. Sorry. I have been told, by the way, and she's quite right, that I'm only half reading these comments. And it's true, because the comments are in very small writing over here, right? And I think I'm half lampy, and I can't see half. To be quite honest with you. I'll probably have to put this on. I've got good far away eyesight, but not so good up close eyesight. Let's see. Is that better? Not really, no. Bring that in. No, that doesn't help either. But you get the gist. Let me read through a few comments in greater detail anyway. B4L has sent us €1, or just shy of €1, which is a great help. Thank you. It all goes towards the cost of... Well, I'll tell you one thing that's knocking the shit out of me here, and that's going to be the cost of electricity. Because needless to say, 60 watt radio, 20 watts, 10 watts. The heating in here, of course, is electric. So this winter is going to be a bit grim. So I've started collecting. I have started collecting. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? I have started collecting batteries. With the intention of using them to power shit, because things are going to be a bit bleak in the near future. So that's, I was thinking of putting maybe solar panels on the roof of the shed or something. Maybe if it just powered the lights, it's even the lights. So turn on the lights and it's bright. But there's about 120 watts worth of LED light being burnt there, which isn't wonderful. I see a few people have joined the chat. If you've just joined the chat, do me a solid and hit the thumbs up button. Rayborn, in the shadows again. Oh yeah. Dennis, the problem with drinking from a bottle is the bottle never seems to last nearly as long as it should. No, it doesn't. Noel says, good luck, Kyle. It will be a tough going, but the rewards will be worth it in the end. And Kyle says, I'm sure hitting... It probably would. I don't know. I'm not great with computers. I'm afraid of hitting the control button in case something happens. So I don't. Chris's Tech TV is here. Hello, everyone. Having a hot day today here in LA. About 32 degrees. Jesus, now that's a different scene altogether. We'd be screaming, roaring. But 32 degrees here is probably a hot day for you in LA, but not mad. Like, it was 28 degrees in London or whatever, and everyone was running around with their hair on fire, Kyle, control and mouse wheel up does it too. Yeah, no, I'm not going to start doing shit like that. Well, I suppose it's called, right? Control. Mouse wheel up. Oh, hello. Oh, that makes everything look really weird. Oh, that's worked really well. Well done, lads. Let's make it a sensible size, though, so it's not there. Okay. Thanks very much, lads. I can see the writing much better now. Click down onto the latest comments now after setting the thing there a bit. Thanks, B Fardell, for the couple of quid. All little donations are gratefully appreciated. It's an expensive hobby, this too, in some ways. Not as expensive as collecting Rolls Royces or whatever, but so, this is Tech TV. Welcome to the chat. So you found me again. Now, I can remember, I think it was the very first time I ever did a live stream that you came in. I might be wrong on that, but I think it was the very first one, which was probably about 6 months ago. So if I could ask you, Chris, how did you find my video today, if you're not subscribed? And what time is it in LA? I'd be interested to know. Not sure what way you are over there with time zones to us. Are you 12 hours behind us? You were indeed. Oh no, I remember you because I can remember watching you years ago. I think you used to be on with Shango 66. You're subscribed. Okay. And you saw it. Oh, okay. You see. Okay. Right. You're a subscriber. Sound. Game ball. Thanks very much, by the way. By the way, I'm subscribed to you, but I haven't seen any output from you in a long, long time. I think the last video you did was on like a Zenith radio or something. It's a good while ago. When are you going to start putting stuff up again? Now, obviously, you could be busy with work and life and all that. Gets in the way, but I'd like to see you putting a bit of stuff up again. I'd love to get over there someday and see the stuff. I mean, the stuff over here is so thin on the ground. Now, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, that, like, how easy is it to come across, and a 1960s colour television, you know, over in LA at the minute or whatever. Fair enough, you're busy, yeah, life, fixing cars and stuff. Well, it's good if you can do it yourself, you know, that saves an awful lot too. And of course, I think a lot of us here are similarly minded where we can fix cars and houses and stuff ourselves, and we're better off for it. A little knowledge goes a long way with a lot of this stuff. But the scene over here is that, you know, a lot of this stuff, and I suppose I look at American televisions and they're completely alien to me. But then I'm sure that a lot of you lads would look at our televisions here and they're completely alien to you. Like, for example, I can't do much with the webcam at the minute, but now, forgive the mess, but I want to show Chris one of the things here, right? So here we have a couple of Bush AA23s. These both stem from the early 70s, right? So this would have been the typical television in a house in Ireland or the UK in the 70s, right? And look at the tuner, you know, 6 press buttons. You never had that in America because you had so many TV stations, whereas here we only had 2 or 3, depending on where you were. So the design of the things is slightly different, and it's interesting. Now, my friend here, Chris, who was this gentleman here, and this was his TV repair shop, he served his time at RCA in New Jersey back in the mid-60s. He's an Irishman, and of course he moved back to Ireland after getting married in America. So he's seen both sides of it. He's seen the oddball televisions here and in America, and he came back to Ireland. There was very few colour televisions in Ireland when he moved back here, and of course he had a television in his house in New Jersey, Trenton is where he was, where there was 99 clicks on the selector, and every click had a station on it. Incredible. And he came back here and we had 2 TV stations in black and white. I'll just catch up with the comments. You've run out of space for 60s TVs, but you have 2. If you check Craigslist, you can get an idea of what's over here. Okay, I'll do that actually, yeah. Back around 2010, I was getting sets for free on Craigslist. There were Veractor tuned Japanese sets in the 80s. I'm thinking Hitachi from one. Okay. Kyle says he's seen a Trinitron for the American market that had the best part of 30 channel buttons on the front. That's mental. Back in the 70s, if you had a TV that had 8 channel buttons on the front, that was something special. And then when you went into the 80s, or the late 70s, you had crowds from Europe importing sets, Solar Finlux, you know, from Denmark, and they had 16 buttons on them. People used to look at them going, what are the 16 buttons for? You know, we only have BBC One, BBC Two, RTE One, RTE Two, Channel 4, UTV, so that was 6. No wonder what were the other 10 buttons for. Little did they know where the future was going. The Hitachi had the push button style tune and you had to set each one. Yeah, well, you'll probably have something similar here maybe. The problem for the American collectors is so many of the tellies are fitted inside church altars. Yeah. I mean, what? Like you know, you've got a 22-inch color television in a thing that's 8 foot long with 2 big 15-inch speakers either side of her. Nuts. I'd love it. I would love to live in America for the TV collecting hobby. My lord. how interesting it must be. So much stuff, all at your fingertips. Now, I know an awful lot of us gone up in price over it. Well, I listen to Shango talking. I don't watch all these videos. I won't lie to you and say I do. I don't. But for the ones that I do, I know that one of the issues now is the price of TVs is going up a little bit because, especially in LA, where there's arty people and money and stuff, and they're turning them into cat beds and drinks cabinets and stuff. I was very sickened over here a while ago, and the UK and Irish people here will know what I'm talking about. There was a Philips dual standard, no, sorry, I'm telling you, a Philips single standard G6 colour television came up on adverts here a while ago. And I had been gutted into a drinks cabinet for the tube. Everything was gone, right? I'd been turned into a drinks cabinet. So I jumped on, as soon as it came up, I jumped on, I sent the seller a message. Do you still have the parts out of the television? And the answer was, no, we fucked them in the bin. Right? So what I did then was, I sent her a link to eBay listings, completed eBay listings for Philips G6 televisions. And I left it at that. And all she sent me back was an unhappy emoji face, right? But sickening. It's sad. But that's what goes on, But a Philips G6 destroyed. So G6, Chris, will be an extremely rare television here. First generation colour television. One thing I noticed between colour TVs here and colour TVs in America is that the colour TVs here went. So colour television came out here in 1967, but BBC One went colour. BBC Two went colour. And BBC One on UTV went colour in '69. So the first televisions were dual standard, so they could do 625 lines and 405 lines. And then 69, then that was the end of dual standard production, sort of 69, 70, and they went single standard colour. But valve televisions with tubes in them, vanished pretty quick for the most part. Well, Ferguson, Thorn, they never made a production tube TV. They were transistor from the start in 1967, and they were tied in with Texas Instruments heavily. And the last televisions to be made over here in the UK or Ireland or in the UK was probably with valves in them, was probably the ITT CVC 9, which would have been around 1975. But a lot of the manufacturers had gone solid state well before then. Bush went solid state in 1969 with the AA23. But I noticed that the Americans seem to have held on to tubes, for quite a while, and there was even tube TVs kicking around into the 80s. I know the Portacolor, the GE Portacolor, I would love to get my hands on one of those. They just looked like such an interesting set. There was a version of that sold in the UK. What they called it now, the name of it escapes me, but it was imported in and converted to 625, Simple PAL as they call it. Love to get my hand on one of them. But it was interesting that the Americans held on, and that the Japanese were catering for both markets at the same time. So we were getting like televisions from Toshiba that were solid state in 1970. But yet they were still making tube TVs for the American market up until 76, 77. So it's strange, and you can picture the Toshiba production line. One line is going to Europe solid state, and the other line over here is going with compactrons. Fascinating stuff. They still use inches. Yeah, well, I'd rather give her 6 inches than 6 centimeters. Yeah, output later 70s, yeah. But there still was one or two tube TVs kicking around the 80s, wasn't there? Very interesting though. Very interesting. Do you still knock around with Shango 66? I don't see you in the videos with him anymore either. But then again, you might be held up with work and that kind of thing too. Of course, life does get in the way. He has exploded in the last couple of years. I think he's, what is it, nearly 70,000 subscribers or something now? Unbelievable. Fair play to him. Maybe one day the Ojnoj shed will get up to those dizzy heights of subscribers. But then again, would we want it? There's a responsibility there too to always be spitting out high quality content. And I haven't even started making high quality content yet. So if you've just joined the chat, please hit the thumbs up button. I have a thing now for more thumbs up than viewers, which is interesting. We're doing well. It's just starting to get dark here now. The sun is going down in the west. I can just see it peeking out through the clouds off in the distance, out through the window. The evenings are coming in quite quick. Now, Conway, I saw a bloke destroy an Evo meter like the one you have on the bench. The gobshite drilled holes in it, turned it upside down, and made it into a clown robot. It was hideous. Made me cry. I need to start stacking TVs in the garage. Well, the problem is here. Yeah, you see, that's the American thing. Yeah, in the garage. They don't have a garage. A garage, sorry. That's one thing about John. When he came back from the States, obviously his wife is American. And he got all the American words. So he wouldn't say garage. We say garage, right? Whereas he would say the garage. And we call the back of the car the boot. And he'd say the trunk. So, I want you to, John, go into the garage and get that radio out of the trunk. What I'd be looking at, what are you talking about? 6 or 7 at the time. Great days. The old Evo meters make excellent lamps. So, by the way, I was tempted to send one of these to Shango 66, right? Because he's messing around with that elf fluke, and I think he needs a proper multimeter. Not a Simpson or something. Well, I shouldn't slag Simpson. We had a Simpson 260 in the shop for years. Wonderful meter. In fact, I would actually bet it over the Evo. But this, Chris, is the go-to multimeter in Ireland and the UK from the 40s to the 80s or 90s. These are the business. And I have a load of these. Now, I would actually send them one for the crack, because I would probably get a bit of a kick out of seeing them using one. Here's another one here. So I have 2 of them. These are Mark 5. So obviously they started at the Mark 1 and finished at the Mark 7. They made these up until, I think it was 2004. And they were handmade. You see, this one says Ojnoj on it. It's given that a while ago. This is the one I've had for years and years. Right, so, great meters. And of course, people collect these as well. And they go for reasonable money these days. They go for about 50 quid for a Mark 5 in working order. This here is the Mark before it. I don't be boring people with multimeters, but I think it's kind of interesting. This is a Mark 4. Mark 4 is rare because it was Evo's first experiments with a plastic case. So the front is still bakelite like the Mark 3. This is a Mark 3, by the way. Okay. And you can see the similarities. Right. But the Mark IV anyway was Evo's first experiment with plastic. But the plastic is incredibly brittle, okay? And it shatters into 1,000 pieces if it hits the ground at any kind of speed or force. So you can see that this has been super glued up a couple of times. I've dropped this twice since I've had it. And it has smashed into various pieces and then being super glued back together. Very good meter as well. Right, so that's a Mark IV. Mark 3 going before it is all bakelite. Very good meter as well. And I also have, although sadly it's of no use because the meter is open circuit, but I was given it anyway just to complete, semi-complete the collection. This is a Mark II. And if I look, this is 1959, this one, Mark II. You can see that the way the needle swings wildly around, open circuit movement, so it's of no use. And I have opened it up, and it is the movement itself that's open circuit, so there's nothing that can be done unless we get another one with a movement, which is bloody unlikely. So anyway, sorry, I've gone off on a little tangent there with AVO meters, but I do like them. They are fairly high quality stuff, alright, and they were to go to. And in all the British service manuals, they always quote AVO meter 8 readings for the voltage readings on circuit diagrams. 20,000 ohms per volt, same as the 260, you know. But they always say AVO 8. Now, of course, AVO would have had. AVO were probably clever because I think they were supplying the manufacturers with their meters at probably a knockdown price to get in there and be the name in metrology. Of course, the AVO meter gets its name from amps, volts, and ohms, and it was a fellow by the name of McCaddy who worked for the post office, a telegraph department in Scotland back in the 1920s, who got sick of carrying around voltmeters, ammeters, ohm meters, all this separate gear, and sat at home in his shed and made up a little wooden box with a battery and resistors and a moving coil movement and all, and switches, and made up an amps volt ohm meter, and it took off from there, right? And of course, there's all different types of AVO meters as well. They're the standard ones, but there's oddball ones that were made for the army and special purposes. And of course, people collect all these things, and it's rather interesting, all the different meters that they made. I have a few oddball ones here. I have an AVO meter 10, which is made for export only to Australia, which John gave to me years ago. He had it in the shop. I don't know where he got it from. A real oddball one with a single knob instead of two knobs. But that's AVO meters. I might send Shango one of those yet. You can tell him to get in touch with me if he's really interested. Because I have two. I don't need two. I'll send him one of the Mark 5s. In fact, I'll send them the one with my name on it so people will see it. Let me have a look here. Those meters appear at rallies in their dozens. I've never been to a radio rally that didn't have at least half a dozen. Yeah. But what I've found is the ones that are at dirt prices, because I've often bought a few of them for the crack and to be marked £2 or £3 at the MVCF on the BVWS stall, and you get them home and I got a real clean example of a Mark III, an AVO 8 Mark III, and it's in tatters inside. It had an arc flash inside. I think someone tried to measure the national grid at source. So you can be unlucky with them too. A 5-inch TV converted into a simple scope. Yeah, probably feeding the line, the frame. Yeah, interesting. The 5-inch sets are still out there. You could do it again. Yeah, I'm still coming across those 5-inch TVs. Sometimes you see them for sale for ridiculous prices, like €300 or something. But then again, you'll see them for free. I have a couple of them here. At one time, I considered them disposable televisions, but not so much now. They're getting a little bit tighter to get now. So when I see them, I hold on to them. but they're useful. I'll try converting them, a couple of them to 4 or 5 lines with varying degrees of success. Which is the one that walks upside down, the one with the open circuit coil movement? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, she got duttered, which is a bit of a shame. And then, of course, don't forget that I'm talking about Evo 8. Don't forget the Evo 7 as well before it. And then the Evo 40, which was the electrician's multimeter. No, the Evo 10. Oh, the one that walks upside down. Oh, sorry, because it was... yeah. Very good, Rayo. Did you ever see one? I don't know where it is. I might have put it away. It used to live up here. It doesn't live up there anymore. No, I must have tucked it away. And don't forget this. I'll tell you what I'll do. Chris, if you're still there, I'll send your old pal Chango one of these as well if you want it. This is an Evo multi-miner. These are Mark IVs, right? And these are a pocket version of the Evo meter. You can see how simply it fits into my white coat pocket. Oh. Right, I've 2 of these. One I bought at the MVCF, the other I was given, right? One works quite well. I think one doesn't work as well. I think the one I bought at the MVCF doesn't work very well. And I think I paid £8 for it. £8, right? But you can have one of those as well. If I'm gonna post an Evo 5 or an Evo 8, I can stick one of them in as well. Won't cost too much more. And then you can tell them that you can have the Evo miner. Anyway, that's some of the interesting shit that I have. Moderately interesting. But it's interesting to look at the different designs of multimeters. Now, obviously, you use Evo or you use Simpson 260s and stuff like that over in the States. And what's the other one you use? I had one here, a triplet multimeter. I had a triplet, but I threw it away because it was no use. The top band, one of the top bands was snapped on it, and the needle was going all over the place. It was no use, so I had to go. But a really well made meter. Did I throw it? Maybe I still have it actually. I may not have disposed of it actually. I might still have it. Triplet made lovely stuff as well though. So you had Simpson and you Triplet, and they made great gear. As I say, John had a Simpson 260, and he swore by it. He hated the Avon meters. Actually, says, I never liked those Avon meters. You know, although we did end up using a Mark V in the end because the shop went on fire at one time and it got drowned with water, and a lot of water went into the Simpson and went into the movement, and it never worked right since. I have some American stuff here as well, Chris, that you might recognise or find of interest. I have a couple of televisions here. I have a Samsung American set, kind of like a semi-portable, and then I have a 20-inch Portland television, which was made in Japan or somewhere in the 1980s, which is in as new condition, and it was used with a Sony NTSC SLC7 or whatever you call it, video player, and people were sending their tapes over to Ireland, and the people here were using the television and the VHS player to watch, tapes that have been made over in the States. The player went, but the TV I have here, and it hasn't been used, more or less. It was only used to watch these tapes, so it only has probably 100 hours on it. It's in incredible condition. I actually tried to give it away about 10 years ago, and no one wanted it, but I'm glad I held on to it. What else have we got? Oh yeah, I have an American valve tester here. Or should I say tube tester, for the purposes of this conversation. This is a portable tube tester that's made by Triplet as well, actually. I've been meaning to make a video on this. I don't know if you recognise that. If that means anything to you or not, a little neon in the middle, I think that's for if they're shorts. And the little book. I think it's fairly early, going by the valve guide inside the cover there. You know, it's I think it's late 40s. Doesn't seem to cover valves after that. It is well built. It's a heavy little bugger as well, and it's just a mission and shorts. Very basic thing. I'd love to actually know. I haven't looked into it too deeply, but I think it's fairly early. I was actually looking to see if there was an updated book for the settings for more modern valves. But I don't think it had any success at the time. So it just sat there. Of course, it's 110 volts, so I use it with the auto transformer of a Verdiac here, which I use this bio here. You see a little voltmeter on him and that. Nice job. So I set him to 110 a year and use that for running American stuff. So it's interesting. What time of day is it in your part of the world, Chris? KSN's Tech Topics. Welcome aboard. I haven't seen you in the chat either. Thank you very much for commenting. Almost noon. Okay, so it's just... Oh yeah, so we're 8 hours ahead of you here. So it's just rolling on for 8 o'clock. I'm going to go away for a minute again because the keg is in the house and the beer is here. The glass is here and it's empty. So I wouldn't leave you without entertainment. So what will I leave you with here in the shortwave? I don't know, Chris, if you're into radio at all, but here last night we were talking to a chap down in Australia called Wenlock TVDX, and me and him were both listening to the same Radio China program at the same time, which was kind of interesting, as he was just coming out of darkness and we were just going into darkness on 41 and 49 meter band.
C'est vrai que c'est le programme qui a été.
You can listen to that while I'm gone.
De personnes et arriver à développer des lanceurs aujourd'hui c'est un partenaire clé de la NASA et qui aujourd'hui d'ailleurs est questionné finalement par l'État fédéral américain, c'est-à-dire le danger pour la NASA en l'occurrence c'est d'être indépendante face à cet acteur privé, d'où la volonté de stimuler une concurrence, notamment donc Blue Origin, mais il y a des stimulation à l'écosystème, notamment en Californie, pour finalement être une alternative progressivement en tout cas à SpaceX et de ne pas laisser ce seul marché finalement à Elon Musk.
Est-ce qu'on a d'autres dans les pays qui ont rejoint le programme Artemis qui ont en fait des contributions?
Il y en a, bien sûr, mais il n'y a aucune mesure comparable avec les entreprises américaines. Il y a aussi des acteurs plus traditionnels comme les startups du New Space. Et ce que je pourrais peut-être ajouter pour compléter ce que vient de dire, c'est qu'il y a aussi une compétition dans la compétition sur l'imaginaire, un peu sur la vision, parce que jusqu'à maintenant, la NASA faisait appel à ces entreprises-là comme prestataires. Donc la NASA définit un programme et puis on leur donne de l'argent. Il faut quand même rappeler que même malgré les réussites de SpaceX, il y a très peu d'argent personnel des donneurs, des contrats avec de l'argent public américain. Donc jusqu'à maintenant, ça fonctionnait de cette façon-là. Mais maintenant, il y a des entreprises qui portent leur propre projet. Elon Musk dit clairement que lui, il va aller sur Mars en indépendant. Non pas seulement entre les grandes nations, mais entre sur qui décide.
Porque no han empezado nada bien. resultado, bueno, el Valencia ganó el primer partido de Girona, pero había el lío del cierre del mercado de fichajes. Al final se quedó con 3 puntos. El Getafe, yo creo que es uno de los que mejor se ha reforzado, pero le ha costado, le ha costado también arrancar en cuanto a triunfos para el equipo de Tokio. No, es un partido que si ganáis es por parte de Valencia y Getafe, porque es que a pesar de los fichajes de Valencia, la ausencia de Soler que le aportaba ya no solo los goles, sino
Une première depuis 5 ans, on y revient dans un instant. Et puis en France, l'ouverture demain à Paris du procès des attentats de Nice, 6 ans après les faits et 2 mois après la fin de celui des attaques contre le Bataclan et le Stade de France. On part tout d'abord au Chili pour débuter cette édition. Le Chili qui vote aujourd'hui pour ou contre sa nouvelle constitution. Si cette dernière est approuvée, elle remplacerait l'actuelle.
Right, lads, sorry for leaving us for so long. We're back in the chat. If you're just joined, please like and subscribe and hit the thumbs up button.
Il reste encore quelques heures avant que le bureau
I
de
keep
vote
saying that, don't
ne
I?
ferme.
It helps. It does help. Now, KSN has said, hello, Ojnoj, or John Joe. Right. I watch all their videos. I used to work in the TV and video servicing industry back in the 80s and 90s. Okay, God love you. So you're one of the children. Fair play to you. And thanks for the thumbs up, whoever that was. Much appreciated. We're doing well, lads. We're doing well. We're doing well. Is Ray Bourne still in the chat? Ray Bourne's probably looking for the Evo 10. I don't know where it is, Ray. It's another American thing I have here, actually, Chris. If you're still on board, this is another gadget that John brought back from the States. An ICO locked. What you call it? A yoke tester. You've probably seen one of them, I suppose, being an American gadget. There's not much in this, just a transformer. I think it's an ECC 82 or whatever you crazy dudes over there call it, 12AU7. Good man, Chris. Well, did you ever see one of them? You probably did. Some heat kit stuff floating around here too. I actually gave away some heat kit stuff lately. Back in May to Trevor over in Scotland, whose channel I was talking about there a while ago. He's into the amateur radio and that. I got a bit of heat kit amateur radio gear which I let him have. He was quite interested in. I go say Jen, yeah, I had one of those here too, which came out with a shed that had no roof on it for 10 years, so it was of no use and had to be scrapped. I also had another thing that I gave to the stall on the British Vintage Wireless Society. It was an American sweep generator. I have to think about what its name was now. But if you can think of a machine turned front, 2 knobs either side, one for the sweep, one for the gen, and I had a little 3-inch oscilloscope tube that was on a hinge that turned out. Real narrow thing, very heavy. Do you know what that was, Chris? I can't think. I think there was one of them on Shango's channel years and years ago, but I can't think of the name of it. Another oddball thing that we picked up. It's gone to a collector in the UK, and he's actually doing it up. Yeah, no, they seem to have made nice stuff. Yeah, I think it's the steel work in them. It's a little bit heavier as well. I think that helps with the stability, you know. Definitely does. A couple of more people are after giving me thumbs up there too. We've got 30 thumbs up and 18 viewers, which is wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks very much. Now, the channel, just to talk about the channel for a minute, and something that I keep saying and will keep reiterating is, you know, when I first came out here and did this 4 years ago, with the support of my loving wife, I had no idea that I would have over 2,000 subscribers. That amount of interest would be in the stuff that I do. Run it by me again? Okay. So, let's see. It was a Sweet Gen for television. It was about, let's see if I'm looking here at the screen to see if I'm in shot. I'm doing this. It was about, we'll say 18 inches wide, maybe 14 inches tall, and about 6 inches deep. Had a machine turned copper plated brass front on it with two knobs, one for the sweep and one for the actual frequency setting. And the two pointers were actually like perspex. On the tube, the CRT, I think it was a 3BP2, a 3-inch CRT that was in a little box that hinged out for use. So it was like it stuck out at the back. So for transporting it, you folded it in, and there was a little thing on the front that came out like a little shadow out to look in at the CRT. What the fuck was it called? I can't think of it now. It was an interesting little thing, but like that, it lived in a shed with no roof on it for years and years. But I brought it to the British Vintage Wireless Society charity stall at the NVCF show. It's the big show that we have over here. And someone bought it, and they're doing it up. We should be a labour of love. I just haven't got the staying power for that kind of stuff. I can't even think of what make it was now. Well, it might have been Ico as well. Tell you who else did one, and he fully restored it, and that was Mr. Carlson's lab. He did one. I'm gonna have to look that up after the live stream because it's annoying me now that I can't think of it. Yeah, no, that's going to annoy me all night. Apparently it's 25 degrees in here, but I don't believe that. We're standing in the old Eddystone is sitting here underneath. The other thing that Americans had was very, very nice communications receivers. I don't know, did you ever come across an Eddystone receiver over there, Chris? This is an Eddystone 740. I don't know if you're into amateur radio and that kind of thing as well, Chris. Maybe you would let us know. That's an Eddystone 740, 1955-ish. This is an Eddystone EC10. It's their first transistorized radio, 1960, I think 1964, 66 maybe. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Can't remember off the top of my head. This is a Frog 7000 by Yaesu, which you probably know. This is an R600. I know there's loads of those over in the States as well. Eddystone are known for their excellent tuning mechanisms. Weighted flywheel drives. If you just look at the little EC10 here, really, really nice drive. Whee! Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if I can receive the British Heritage Television transmissions here. That's going to be somewhere in Northern London, I think, is where our site is going to be, their transmitting site. Was it really? That's very interesting, Chris. Now, Quality Radios is right. The only thing that lets them down, though, is the resistors and capacitors they used weren't 100%. They did let the side down with the quality that they used there. But other than that, I mean, they are very nice receivers. The little EC10 here, we can have a listen to it. It's actually very pleasant to use. We hit the standby button there. Standby button there cuts off the HT to the IF and RF stages, desensitizes the radio. Doesn't turn off the oscillator though. I think if I have that right. So the HT keeps the oscillator keeps the HT, so it helps with drift when you switch back on. Anyway, let's have a spin around here. Let's go up to band 2. She's not short again. No, they weren't meant to last 50 years. And especially the ones for government contracts, which is what a lot of what Eddie Stone did was government contract work. You know, for HM Coast Guard, GCHQ, all that kind of naughty stuff. You know, they had a design life of 6 to 7 years probably. And then they were going into the bin. And that's where an awful lot of them ended up, was in the bin. One thing I noticed from Shango's videos, when he's tuning around, there's an awful lot of Chinese radio stations on your medium wave band, or AM should I say, which is interesting. There's obviously a big Chinese community living in LA or whatever. I like listening to the traditional Chinese music on the shortwave.
بابل هذه الدول الثلاث بابل
There's more of it there. Like Radio China International, wonderful. There they are. 2 different types of traditional music. One. There's a slow one if you want to listen to it. This is on around 12 megahertz, which would be 25 meter band. There's something a bit faster. Do you still have the low powered analog TV transmitters? Is there any of those? What do they call them? They had a funny name on them. I can't remember now. They were just transmitting analog TV, but it was only because the sound channel was at the bottom of the FM band, so they could have an FM radio outlet. Radio Iran on AM. That's amazing. So I take it AM isn't going to go anywhere. I don't know, digital now. That's a shame. That's a shame. I thought there might be a couple of analog doofers still kicking around. We were very sad to see analog television going here. It was excellent. We had band 3 VHF television here, RTA was on band 3 up until the end. and you could receive it anywhere with, like, a wet piece of string stuck into the aerial socket. It was excellent, especially for the Irish terrain, where hills and up and down. You didn't have UHF line of sight, and quite a few people were left without TV until I got satellite dishes and things. Yeah, Chinese use short-wave bands to their advantage, but at least they make it a bit interesting and they give us nice music to listen to. We're not getting political here. I'm not saying I agree with Chinese agendas or whatever. I just like listening to their music. I like listening to Jimi Hendrix as well. But no, they certainly do.
Ça coûte aussi en termes d'argent. C'est quand même plus simple de prendre de l'eau qui est juste ici plutôt que d'aller la chercher à 380 000 km.
There's 20 meters actually. We'll just see for the crack can we demodulate any 20-meter action. They say the AC-10 is useless, but it's an awful lot better on single sideband than this machine here. Even if it does drift a bit.
Thank you very much for the my tour. My tour. My personal name is Maurice, and your report is 599 here.
You need to be a safe tracker to use this in anger. Massive signal. See, this is where if you have a product detector, it cuts out all this nonsense of having to mess around with the RF gain. Northern Rambler has an S640. The S640 was a far better radio, I think. Meters now, 49 meters are starting to come alive now as it's getting dark here. Anyway, that's enough of that. That's not what tonight is about. But interesting nonetheless. nonetheless, interesting. Yeah, Cuba. We hear Cuba here in Europe at around 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. They start to come in. Yeah, they're unbelievable, the stuff that they'd be at. Now, of course, where you are in LA, you would hear Cuba very well, I'm sure. You'd be nearly in the ground wave of Cuba. They're unbelievable, the Cubans, but they're very interesting, nonetheless. Say one thing for them: they're a very resourceful race of people. So what have we got here? We're down to 16 people watching the live, so we'll have to try and get a few more people watching here. Of course, the idea wasn't to come out here at all. I wonder is Roundy Mooney still watching? He might be in the distance. He might be watching me in the shack doing something else. Roundy's always good for a laugh. Chris, do you think I should get in touch with your old pal Shango and send him an AVO8? As I say, they're multiplying here. They're starting to turn into gremlins. I think if you spill water on an AVO8 after midnight, they multiply. So you'd be more than welcome to one. Though it might be expensive sending stuff to America. I don't think it's for free these days. Although I actually do have someone that lives in America who comes over to Ireland occasionally, who could probably stick one in their luggage and then post it when they got back to the States. How do you think this will go through immigration? The square box with all the electronics in it wrapped up. These are all just interesting thoughts anyway. Put the red right there. Yeah, Havana comes in on 6,000 kilohertz at night. Dennis says it's getting hard to watch now. I dropped to 144. The WX. The weather is killing your Wi-Fi. Oh no, Dennis. You'll have to do something. If I'm in 144, it's like watching me in 39 TV. That's not good at all. But of course you can hear me okay, so it's just like listening to the radio now at this stage. But that only means I have to keep talking. All the time. Keep talking. That's what the key to radio is, I believe. I have to keep talking. Yeah, I must say, Northern Rambler, I would quite like a 640. Of course, octal valves. And the one thing about radios with octal valves is they seem to always work. Have you noticed that? Any old radios I get here that have octal valves in them, the feckers will work when I plug them in. Right? When I run them up in the Variac, I don't just plug them in. But you know what I mean? They always seem to go. My wife used to work for Rank. Oh, for Bank of Ireland. Really? Okay. What, is she Irish or did she work for Bank of Ireland in America? I think they had outlets in America too. Or offices at least. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Octal valves does work. They had an office in LA in the early 2000s. Oh yes, before the unpleasantness. Yeah. Of course, Ireland, I always say that I don't want to get political here, but we're running into a situation here on this little island that we live in, where we're only going to have 2 banks soon enough, and they're going to more or less have a monopoly of the market between the two of them. So it's not good. All the other banks that were here are leaving. So we're going to have Bank of Ireland and Allied Irish Bank. And that's not good for people with mortgages and things. But there's a whole thing going on with the whole world and so on. I know Shango likes to get political in his videos and stuff, and there's a lot of political things to talk about in America, no matter what foot you're kicking with. But for me and my thing here, I like to keep politics and any of that out. I try to keep on topic as much as I can, because I think that people tune into this after a day in the office or wherever they work, or wherever life is thrown at them in general. And it's a little bit of a distraction. And I make videos about shit, and it's sort of nothing about nothing, but it's an escapism for people, and they get to watch a half an hour of me messing around with, say, this thing here, and it's nothing about nothing, and they can switch their brain off, which I think is quite nice. And it's more so about that than anything else. Chris says, Irish ancestors. You have Irish ancestors. Cool. Although, I do draw the line when, you hear of someone who says, okay, so I used to work in a job where I would be exposed to tourists, and say American tourists, and they would come over here, of course. And I used to feel sorry for them because Ireland isn't really. It's not what people in America expect it to be when they land here. So, especially Dublin. And one of the things I would say to you, Chris, is to yourself or any of your friends or relations who have any intention of coming to visit Ireland in the future, don't come to Dublin. Go to the west coast of Ireland. Don't come to Dublin. Dublin is an no-go zone. I know that in LA there's a lot of tents and druggies and stuff like that. Dublin will be sort of not at that stage yet, but will be catching up quite quickly. And tourists are known to get mugged in Dublin and things like that, and it's not a very friendly or nice place to be in. Anyway, I will be exposed to tourists, as I was saying, and Americans will get off, come up to you, and they will go, it's great to be back in the old country. My great grandpappy left Ireland in 1852. His name is John Sean Thomas McGillicuddy, and I really remember. I really appreciate my great grandpappy, and you think, nah, you're a bit too far removed, yeah, that's that. I would say to anyone American watching, don't come to Dublin. Fly into Dublin. Maybe spend a day around Dublin, but don't stay in Dublin. It's far too expensive. Stay away from Temple Bar, which you've all been brainwashed into thinking is Mecca. It is not. It is a kip full of heroin addicts. Stay away from there. Make your way to Galway, Cork, Kerry, and Donegal if you can. Stay away from the cliffs of Moher. If you've seen cliffs anywhere in the world ever before, you've seen cliffs. If you go to the cliffs of Moher, they are cliffs, but they are cliffs in the middle of nowhere, but extortionately expensive to see the cliffs. Okay, so that's my advice. Yeah, I know a couple of people in the job that I'm in. They have an office or a place in LA, and people have to go over there for training, and they always come back on, Jesus Christ, LA is a bit mad, where was the other place they go? Oregon. Apparently Oregon is a bit mental as well, which is sad to say. At the end of the day, they're human beings. Might be a human being that wants to stab you in the face and take your tenner off you, but they're still a human being, and it's sad to say the whole thing the way it is. Hopefully one day people will turn around. But as I say, we don't get into that here. We try and keep it light and cheerful. And about broken televisions, she really liked working for BOI. They closed up shop in LA, unfortunately. Yeah, that's sad to hear. Of course, there was quite a lot of Irish actors and stuff in LA, Colin Meaney, The Next Generation. To name one. I don't know, I can't name anymore off the top yet. I'm sure Liam Neeson probably popped into Bank of Ireland over there from time to time as well. Northern Rambler has a 770R, the VHF receiver, which, if I remember off the top of my head without looking at your comments because I've seen numbers on it, is it 18 or 17 megahertz up to 220 megahertz? Something like that. 19 to 165. Well, it wasn't a million miles and I weighed 60 pounds. I had the opportunity of buying one of those about 10 years ago, and I didn't. And I don't know if I should have regretted it or not. I know that there's an awful lot of those little red capacitors in them that give trouble, and they're the complete bastard to take apart to do. The man that I mentioned last night on the channel, the man that's over in Canada, he did a full restoration of one of those a couple of years ago. It was incredible, the amount of work that went into them. Monterey as well. Yeah, Santa Barbara. I know. Yeah. What about Texas or any of them places? Do you ever be down around that part of the country? Tell me this, Chris, being an American. And here's something that fascinates me. Did you ever listen to Art Bell? I listened to Art. I've listened to probably every program that Art Bell ever put out that's on YouTube. And it's a great regret of mine that I never got the chance to listen to him live. I would have really loved to have gotten the chance to listen to him live. Because some of the stuff that he did was just nuts, you know. And he used to have what you call him, the pilot chap, John Lair. What an interesting character to listen to. Chris says he met a lot of nice people in San Fran, but they just made a list of cities with real people. Yeah. I guess times change. I guess they do. He was born in Houston. Alright, okay, so you're not an LA man for sure. And you visited Austin. Nice place. Yeah. I've never been to the States. I hope to. I have relations of John's. John's daughter lives in upstate New Jersey, which obviously is on the other side of the state. But she has asked me to go and visit them at some stage, and I'd like to do it. Have you ever been to the Television Museum? Is it Ohio the Television Museum is in? The early Television Museum. Jerry O'Hara, by the way, I couldn't think of his name. Jerry O'Hara is the chap who completely revamped one of these 770Rs that you're talking about. Completely revamped. Jerry O'Hara will be regarded as the Eddystone expert, certainly in my opinion anyway. And he'll be well known on the... Yes, the TV museum was nice. I was there when the Dayton convention was happening. Wonderful. That's a place that's on my bucket list. Whether it'll ever happen or not is another thing. But I know they've quite a bit of British stuff. They've a couple of British pre-war televisions there and stuff like that. I know they bought up all the CRT regunning equipment from Rax in France and from Hawkeye. What was the chap's name in Hawkeye? Oh, that's going to annoy me now too. Oh, Chris will know anyway. Remember Hawkeye Tubes? What was the name? Yeah, man's name. It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it. Steve or Eddie? No. Oh, you know who I'm talking about anyway. But they were going to start regunning CRTs in in the early television museum. I don't know how far they got. I think they redone one or two. They started up and then there was problems or whatever. I don't know how far they got after that. But it would be Scotty. That's the one, Scotty. Yeah, I actually exchanged emails with him about 12 or 13 years ago. Actually, just before he closed down. Very nice man too. I wonder how he's getting on now. Obviously, he's retired and what have you. Nice man though, Chris. Nice man indeed. Hope he's doing well in his retirement. Yeah, so just before he retired, I exchanged a couple of emails. I was only coming into the television thing, and I had a Thorn 3500, which obviously mean nothing to you, but I had an A67 120X CRT in it, which was gone slightly gassy, low emission as well, and I was sort of balling with the idea of getting a re-gunned, and I was looking around for re-gunners, and he was the only one I could find. And so I sent him an email. It just says, "Here, what's the story? Could you do this?" And he said he could do it all right, but that the price of the shipping, it wouldn't be worth our while. And the price of the shipping, when we looked into it, it kind of was a bit extortionate. All right, so we left it alone. We've actually picked up a new old stock CRT in the meantime, so life is good. But that was Scotty, nice chap. So I hope he's doing all right, whatever he's into now. So yeah, did they ever get going with the CRT re-gunning in the end? So they had all the gear off racks as well. Obviously, I think the problem was the guns. So I think at one stage the guns used to come complete for the tubes. That isn't the case now, so they could rebuild the cathode material on the gun, spot weld it together. But there's an awful lot of stuff involved. And obviously there's an awful lot of things that can go wrong as well doing that. And really, if you're doing that, it needs to be almost clean room environments. Any little bit of shit or that gets into the gun there, you're going to have problems. The last gun to re-gun tubes here retired in the early 80s. That long ago in Ireland, I've got a Bush TV 161, or A640 should I say, and I picked up a couple of years ago, and it has a re-gun tube in it, and the re-gun tube is dated, I think it's March 1984, right? So the television would have been well past its best at that stage. It would have been at least 11 or 12 years old, and some git went out and put a re-gun tube in it, and the place that's on the label was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was on Bridge Street in Dublin. I wonder, is that the same place you're talking about? That was 84, 83 or 84, I think it was 84. I must say, this is a very interesting conversation we're having, lads, and I'm very privileged to have you in the chat here tonight, Chris. It's interesting to bounce off someone on the other side of the world. As I say, we have Australian people here, so we have that side of the world, but tonight we have someone from LA, and someone that's also tied in with the vintage television community, so we're glad to have you aboard here. I think the people that are here are very interested in your responses. So thanks very much for being in the chat. I'm going to go back in because the problem is these glasses don't hold enough beer. What I should really do is fill up a gallon glass and just bring it out with me. But I'm going to be back in a minute. In the meantime, I will leave you with some shortwave musings. What will I leave you with? I like to put on the nice music for you because I'm such a thoughtful person. Right, lads. Back in a minute. Now, I believe Chris has had to leave us to do a bit of shopping. Thanks very much, Chris, for tuning in. I went into the house there, and Mrs. Ojnoj said that I had to go for the shopping. I want to thank you very much for coming in. It's greatly appreciated. So that leaves us with, I need spirits. Well, what I'll do, if you want to sponsor me spirits, send 10, 15 or 20 euro in the super chat to Ojnoj to sponsor spirits. Do you realise how much spirits cost here now? Since minimum pricing and shit. Drinking spirits is only for the well heeled. Or a lot of wheelers.
Ce journal polaire est installé en Chine et est auteur hospitalisé en gastronomie chinoise. Nous avons également connaissance avec Salomok Zéoupé, présidente de l'Éthiopie. Cette dame admirable a énormément contribué à l'affaiblissement de l'annexion africaine. Ensuite, direction la nouvelle.
They were very clever fellas back then, weren't they? We've 15 people watching with 32 likes. That's a ratio I like. I could get used to that ratio. But I would like if a few more people would watch. Jesus, hear that? That is the drift on that radio. Right? So it has drifted a good 5 or 6 kilohertz. Why does a transistor radio drift so much? I can understand the valve radio from the 1920s, but this is ridiculous. It actually drifted off the music onto another Chinese station. It probably drifted about 15 kilohertz. That is lunacy. Weirdest word, yeah, what else have we got here? We actually, funny enough, from my old pal Michael Dranfield, which a few of you mentioned earlier on, we have television from 1998, March 98. And you know, it's hard to believe how far this goes back. Here I am, I open it up on the page. So we've got a couple of people here, right? Now, I actually, funny enough, I don't know anyone here except for I know two of them. I know Michael Dranfield, right? And I know Glenn Dickinson. I've met him as well. Okay, so there's two of them that I actually know. But now, isn't it a small world? I don't know any of the other gentlemen, unfortunately. Um, so anyway, Michael Dranfield, MDR, right? Let's see what Michael Dranfield was at in March 1998. Michael Dranfield was fixing Hitachi CPT 2172 6GP chassis. The set the set was brought in because it made a whistling noise. We suspected a noisy inductor. Not this time, however. The whistling occurred only with scene changes and brightness pictures. The culprit turned out to be the HT smoothing capacitor, 220 microfarads, 160 volts, which had fallen to a very low value. Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Right. Wonderful stuff. Subscribe to Mr. Dranfield if you get a chance, lads. He's well worth watching. Ray Bourne, bit of useless information for you. The place in Bridgefoot Street you were talking about used to be one of the biggest engineering workshops in the country at one time. What were they doing, Ray? If it's mechanical engineering, I always thought that Roadstone had the largest mechanical engineering workshop in the country. Roadstone were even bigger than CIE. Now, Roadstone, for those of you who don't know, was a cement company in Ireland. A cement company and quarries. But they had an absolutely massive fleet of trucks and they had their own workshops. And they used to take in outside work, reconditioning engines and gearboxes and shit like that. They were far bigger than CIE, which was the National Transport Company of Ireland, who were fairly big at the time too. But nothing, it all paled in comparison to the likes of Alden Works and London Transport or whatever. It was all fairly small scale stuff too, on the bigger picture of things. Tooling, so big flatbed lathes and milling machines and shit like that. Cool. Get a Frog 7 for. Get the Frog 7. It's a Frog 7000 Northern Rambler. It's not a Frog 7. No drift there with the Wadley Duke. No, yeah, right. Why does a transistor radio like the EC10 drift so much? Like, it's a scandal that Eddystone sold them like that. And that's the way they were. That's not a faulty one. That's the way they are. Like, oh, he put it away. I was going to pull out his radio. I've a 10 transistor radio from around the same time that has an RF stage and all. Same waveband coverage and all, and it doesn't drift. It probably has more gain too. But the Eddystone has a nice case, which is why they're so expensive now. I'd love to get a smashed up one. If you have an Eddystone EC10 with a smashed dial glass and it's completely knackered, well, not completely knackered, but you know, I'd like to talk to you. No thermal oven, crystal oven, no, but Cardio doesn't either. Either does the likes of like 15 kilohertz drift on a radio like this is scandalous. Okay. There's the general coverage Soviet transistor radio from the early 70s. That doesn't drift as much as that, right? So there's something wrong. There's something seriously wrong. Rant over. Maybe we should try and figure out why it's drifting. Everyone on the forums complains about the EC10 drifting, but no one has actually ever come up with a solution to this. Right? Like they have a stabilized, they have not a Zener diode, but or is it a Zener diode? Supplying the oscillator and that. So I mean the the supply rate to the oscillator is stabilised, so it shouldn't drift at all. Look how far it's drifted. Just drifting off tune all the time. Ridiculous carry on. So that's the crack, lads. That is the crack. Ray reminds you of the RF burn that used to be in Radcom. I remember reading that. Let's see. Practical Wireless 1977. Actually, let's have a look at Practical Wireless 1977 for a minute for the crack. Let's see if we can see anything interesting. You know what I find most interesting about these magazines isn't the articles, but the advertisements. Some of the stuff that people were selling in these magazines. Some were quite nice stuff, and some were complete shit. Like, it's disgraceful what some of the companies were selling. You know, the poor kids would be at home thinking, a transistor radio that you can hear the whole world on for £2.6. I'm gonna buy that. And they were very disappointed. Oh, look, we even have a picture of me in this one. Look, there I am, sitting in the corner. Wasn't F.G. Rayard a very clever man? Radio exchange. It was finished at that stage. I was looking for the Romer 10, but they were onto the Mark 3. There's the Romer 10. Right? My monitor is still backwards, so it's a bit confusing. But here, I have that multimeter here, a little the Russian multimeter, Ojnoj Aero Services Limited, importing all the stuff from the Soviet Union. Yeah, no, everything is in China now. Pat Hawker was another man. They're all gone now too, of course, Nick. All faded memories, unfortunately. This bastard's after drifting off again, look. There's no way that should be drifting like that. That's ridiculous. He didn't need. I had a couple of his books here. Sure, I still do somewhere. He was a very knowledgeable man for sure. If you've just joined the chat, please give me a thumbs up. Greatly appreciated if you can. It's just interesting to see how many people are coming and going as well. Different people and so on and forth. Of course, Radcom's finished now, isn't it? I think it is. I know Practical Wireless is still going, but it's not really practical anymore. Good man, Nick. One of the problems with the practical wireless circuits was they always used the Denko coils. Even when it got to the stage where you couldn't get Denko coils anymore, which wasn't great. Wasn't the television magazine very well put together? You know, for a trade magazine, like, just look at the quality of that magazine, the picture on the front cover and the layout and everything about it. I mean, when you think that if you were in the TV trade, you more or less had no choice but to buy this magazine, so that you would get all the stuff from the, you know, all the service information all come down from the manufacturers and all come into this, and you had all the clever people like Michael Dranfield writing in it to give you a hand. So you had no choice but to buy this. I mean, they had the market cornered, and then overnight it all just vanished. But I always find television magazine quite interesting on a number of fronts. It was a trade magazine, but wasn't it an excellent one? I don't think there was many more trade magazines, like the motor trade magazines or whatever. They never matched the quality of this kind of stuff. And you can't see Oil Riggers Monthly or whatever being quite like this. Right, lads, I'm going to go into the house. I'm out here 2.5 hours, which I think is quite long enough. It's been interesting. It's been interesting on a number of fronts, including the fact that an off-the-cuff video here on Sunday afternoon has been more successful than the one that I wanted to do last night. So lessons have been learned. It's been great talking to you all tonight in the chat. I want to thank all of you for tuning in and whatever. It was good having the likes of Chris from America, from LA, tuning in. Interesting angle on things. And I hope to catch you again soon. I'll do more of these, okay? And, you know, I'm going to do the odd one that I advertise, obviously, in advance. But I will also do just if I'm bored for half an hour, I'll come out here, I'll stick it on the live thing. And if anyone's around, you're more than welcome to join me. All right? And we'll leave it at that for now. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And I'm going to leave it at that and good night. Because I'm going in to watch a bit of TV and relax for the evening. All right. So thanks, Ray. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Noel. Northern Rambler. It's been interesting to say the least. So I'll catch you all again soon next. Good luck for now. Bye-bye.